Okay guys, what's up? So, nice Sunday afternoon here. And I thought I'd sit down to give you guys some information about the current school year coming up. A lot of people want to... Look, Nali. This guy's complaining, he thinks I'm filming him when obviously the camera is facing this way. But yeah, anyways, today we're going to talk about working in Guangzhou as a teacher, an update of things in 2025, mainly salary. People are wondering what it's like, positions available, places you can go, and I got a bunch of talking points right here to give you kind of an idea of what it's like, fill you in on some information. So it's May right now. Weather is beautiful here in Guangzhou, all over China. I mean, the north is cold, but here, fantastic. Back home in Canada, people are saying the weather is bipolar. It's around 21 degrees up, all the way low to 12. We're here, the low is going to be 21, and we're getting days of 31. So I'm in shorts and t-shirt all the time. But being May, I mean, June is, for some schools, the last month, and then for other schools, July is the last month in the school year until the big next semester starts in September. So the biggest hiring session in China for education is coming within the next few months. A lot of posts start to go up in June and July looking for teachers to come starting September. So that's one of the reasons I thought I'd dive into this video. So first of all, let's talk about salary. Salary in the past, salary different COVID, and then salary now. So salary in the past, when I first came to China, about 2015, you've been looking at, with no experience, anywhere from like 10 to 12,000 RMB, and then with a little bit of experience, 15,000 RMB a month, and if you were really lucky, you got a position that was like 18,000 RMB. Before that, the salaries were even lower. I know guys that came here and first got 8,000 RMB when they first arrived. I know guys that, had the best qualifications, and the maximum they could ever make was like 21,000 RMB. Fast forward to COVID, when there was a dire need for the teachers, people couldn't get visas, people were leaving, you could see like a brand new teacher make as high as 30,000 RMB. And then people with experience, 35, I even heard cases of 40. But that is actually no longer the case now. Since I returned a few years ago, the average salary and the salary for people with experience and whatnot has kind of switched up a little bit. So, but before we get to the salaries, let's talk about cities as well. Obviously, if you go to a tier 1 city, you're probably going to get the highest paid, but will you be able to save the most amount of money? Depends on where in that city you live. So if you live in the tier 1 city, right in the downtown area, your biggest expense everywhere is rent, right? So yeah, you might make a good amount, but you're going to spend, like if you're in Guangzhou, downtown, you're spending 6, 7, 10,000 RMB a month on rent. If you're in Guangzhou and you go to like the outskirts of Guangzhou, then you could spend as little 2,000, 3,000 RMB a month. Still make about the same salary, but the place you live is what's going to take up the bulk of your pay. I mean, it's not a lot of pay. It's just the biggest portion of pay that you're going to end up spending on, unless you spend a lot of money on food, which you can, or you can save as much as well. Then when you get to the tier 2 and 3 cities, the rent's a lot cheaper, but the salaries are also don't really match as high. There's odd exceptions for those, being the international schools. You can see a fluctuation in that, but usually the higher the tier, the higher the pay, the higher the rent. But as we talk about the cities, what type of city should you be looking for when you come to China? That's really going to depend on, let me take a sip first. A nice Chinese beer, nice and low. It's only like 3.9% alcohol, so not trying to get a buzz going, just sipping on something to cool me down. But anyways, okay, what city should you go to? A lot of people have asked me. They see all the big ones on YouTube. People visit Chengdu, which is a new tier 1 city. It's not actually a tier 1, it's called a new tier 1 city. Shenzhen for electronics, Guangzhou for manufacturing and clothing, and close to Macau and Hong Kong. Same thing as Shenzhen, even closer. You got Shanghai, which is like the most international, beautiful city there is. You got Beijing for cultural history and all that type of stuff. And like all those tier 1 cities are great. That's if also you want to feel more Western, have a few of the amenities from back home. If you're from Canada, America, Australia, the UK, if you want to still have that feeling of things within the city, and you know, more foreigners to socialize with and stuff, then that could be for you. If you want to deep dive into like Chinese culture, trying to force yourself to learn the language, feel more like in a Chinese environment, then maybe a tier 2 or possibly even a tier 3 city would be for you. You'll get a great cultural exchange. You'll make more Chinese friends in those cities, where tier 1 cities do feel a little bit more westernized. Now, if you're worried about buying things like snacks and foods and all that stuff, you can do that all through Taobao and the apps these days. So no matter what city you pretty much go to, you'll have like things at your resource, at your disposal. But if you want like the cultural impact of things, that's really going to depend on the city that you're in. So when it comes to cities, you got the payment amount, how much you're going to spend on rent, and then like how much, you know, you're going to, just overall a bunch of different things to take in consideration. And then, okay, types of schools. So you start at like the bottom of the barrel, which is going to be the training centers. If this was like before 2020, I mean, training centers were great to get your foot in the door, and especially learn the process of teaching English and kindergarten, like any level here in China. The training centers did help. Nowadays, they're kind of sleazy. They were back in the day too. They get people to come over on business visas and try to convince you didn't need the work visa. But like, so many people did that before. It was kind of like turn a blind eye to. These days, like, you need to be on that work visa. So if you, I mean, I don't recommend a training center. It is a good learning step towards teaching. And if it's the only way you can get your foot in the door to start working in China and then find another school later, then go ahead, by all means take it. But I don't think it should be the first offer you take. Like if you're on any of the online websites looking for jobs or recruiters and you're getting multiple offers, let the training centers be your last. Okay, training centers, they can pay up the high amount, 28,000, but I've heard of people getting ripped off, getting paid like 12,000, 15,000 still. Some of them are making you work 6 days a week. The amount of class loads you have and how long the classes are, it's just, in 2020, it's not worth it. Hold on a sec. My cue card flew away. So, first thing I mentioned was training centers. Try to stay away from the training centers. Secondly is what probably most people should be coming here to do, and that is kindergartens. There's different levels of kindergartens. You have like private, like IB kindergartens. You have like a middle range kindergarten, and you have like some of the government kindergartens. All the different type of kindergarten is gonna really see how much you're gonna get paid. The mid-ranged ones tend to hire illegal Russians because they charge a lot less for the kids and they want to pay the foreign teacher a lot less. The IB kindergartens or like the private kindergartens, they tend to pay the most. Those kindergartens, now, if you're starting as a new teacher in Guangzhou, you're looking at anywhere from like 15,000 to 18,000 or up to 22,000 would be a really good offer for you. If you have experience, then you're going to be looking anywhere from like 22 to 30,000, and if you have like a bachelor's of education and like really good experience teaching in China for a long time, then you should be demanding 25,000 to 32,000. 35, I would say, would be really good also, but there's not a lot of places offering that right off the bat. There might be some places that have great benefits, and over time, each year you can get a yearly raise and eventually get it to that. But like the market is pretty much set around 28 to 32 for people with good experience, and new teachers, like, it really depends where you're from, all that jazz, right? And this is just in Guangzhou and most other tier 1 cities. The price goes down a lot, and I've seen a lot of offers in other cities for way lower, just because they're not as big. They're not the same standards. So first we have training centers, we have kindergartens, next you have the primary schools. I don't see a lot of offers for those, a lot of ads for those online, so I'm not too familiar. The ones I do see around 22 to 28,000, just because you only teach the one subject. You're not like a homeroom teacher that stays with the kids all day. So you just have class or whatever. And then the next would be AP high school level. AP high school level usually pays really well, anywhere from 30 to like 40,000, but that's because you need to have the relative degree, like finance or like a physics or chemistry bio degree, like a really good AP subject degree. and then they start you at 30 if you have no real experience. But if you have some experience, like I've seen those high school AP subjects pay fantastically. Now the next I'm going to say are universities. Universities, you get the most free time. You have like 3-4 classes a week or 3-4 days you work. Universities pay as low as 10 to like high as 20, just because it's the least amount of work. You can come with little experience for those also, just need a bachelor's degree or experience depending on it. Those jobs are around. But for me, I think those are jobs for like, for me, retirees, people that have just time on their hand and they want to do something. If you're young and you're trying to like, make a living or save up money, university probably isn't the way to go. But if you want to just like travel and teach, a lot of people tried to do that with the training centers back in the day. They'd work for like 6 months, save up all that money, and then travel the country off of the visa. If you want to travel a lot and teach, then universities are probably the way to go now. And the last is going to be the international schools. International schools pay fantastic. I've never heard of an international school paying less than 30,000, anywhere from 30 to 40, 45, 50,000 RMB. They do have a way heavier workload, and most of them do require a bachelor's of education or like, a master's in related subject. But most of them do want that teaching degree or, relative certificates to it. I would be at an international school right now myself, but like the workload is so much more, and I would like to enjoy, the China life, the free time, and not just be, just going all into it. I have a young daughter. I want to be able to spend time with her. But if you're looking to come to China to save money and then go back to your country, international schools can be the best, because usually, depending on the school, like some kindergartens, some international schools, some high schools, primary, will offer housing. So you don't have to pay on the rent. So take that into consideration too. Because I mentioned earlier, the cities, like the cost, your biggest cost is going to be rent. But the city, it may not matter what city, if you're getting your housing accommodated by your workplace. So that's something to look into. Like, try to get 3-4 offers and see which offer is best to you, because some will offer housing, some won't. They should all offer a social health insurance, social security, and pay towards retirement. You put in a certain amount of money a month, like 200, 300 RMB, your school matches it. Like, all schools should offer that. And some other benefits, right? International schools have amazing health benefits for your family as well, not just the individual employee. So yeah, take all of these things into consideration and what you're trying to do in the long run. If you want to work here 2-3 years and then travel, or work here 2-3 years, 4 years, then go back home, have money saved up, or if you want to live here long term, the type of employment to get experience, or just to get like, save up money or whatever that could really affect your life and longevity in China, or how your experience is. So yeah, we talked about all the types of schools. And finally, degrees and experience. I mentioned through some of them. If you're going for a training center, legally, you need a bachelor's of education and a TEFL. If you're going for a kindergarten, same thing. If you're going for a public school, like primary, usually it's just a bachelor's degree and a TEFL, but sometimes they want a subject-related degree. The high school APs is going to be a bachelor's. Mainly they prefer a master's or a doctorate, and then in the relative degree. And then universities, usually just a bachelor's and then a TEFL, relative degree. And then international schools, bachelor's or master's and relative degrees, or bachelor's of education. Other teaching qualifications like your CELTA, your I forget them all right now, I'm outside, but I've done other videos where I've mentioned what you kind of require. So yeah, that's kind of like an update. It tells you, gives you an idea what you should be looking at, but mainly like the salary now in 2025 in tier 1s for new people, same one last time, anywhere from 15, 18 to 22. Your first job here, if you're first time coming to teach in China, you shouldn't be worrying about the top salary. You should just be worrying about getting your foot in the door, learning about teaching. Like, if you have a bachelor's of education and it's your first time here, then no, it's completely different. You've got more qualification. But if you are just have a bachelor's degree in a TEFL and you've never taught before, the learning experience is so important. I can't stress how important it was. When I first came, my teaching ability was horrible. I worked at a school called Scholastics, Clifford the Big Red Dog. Then I moved over to CIO, which I learned so much from. And then I even went to another school called Spirit Kids, which I also learned even more about teaching the younger grades, because each school had a little bit of difference and just taught me about pacing, discipline, games. Like, all these things are important in building your your teaching resume and your ability to be able to continue teaching and make those contacts. So just get your foot in the door. Don't really worry about the salary, because after a year, when you've got some experience under your belt, you can start looking for other schools from within China. You can start making contacts and better offers and move towards a place that fits you more. Maybe the place you first get your job on will suit you, but maybe there's other schools that are less work than what you want to do, or more work and pay well and just have other benefits. And then, so yeah, first-time workers, take that into consideration. And then people with experience, usually they consider experience like 3 or more years of teaching in China. Like 5 is usually the golden standard to get that top salary. Once you have like 3 to 5 years, then you should really honestly be taking no less than 25. 28 would be pretty standard. And if you have the Bachelor of Education, or like been here for 5 years or more, like 28 minimum, 28, 30. And then taking into consideration all the other things like housing. I said, like, a lot of the stuff I've been repeating myself, just to get it clear and across for people that have been here before, people that haven't been here before, people that are thinking about coming back, people that are just thinking of switching it up here, but kind of maybe stay at home, or a little introverted, they're not social, and they're just looking for more information. And that's what my channel is about, trying to give you guys more information about here, life in China. And the biggest thing would be like working and teaching, and then daily life and vlogging and all that, which I got to get back to more vlogging. Daughter, man, newborn daughter, pretty busy, 5 months old now. Summer's coming up, big boys trip in the beginning of June, end of May, Dragon Boat Festival. It's going to be a big video. Me and my buddy, the Fit Expat. We'll see if Ollie is coming along. He just switched jobs himself. So, yeah. Oh, speaking of that, also, when you get a school, try to find a school that has at least one other foreign teacher. If you find a school that you are going to be the only foreign teacher, the standards can be up and down. They can pull some scammy stuff. Always know your rights. Always read your contract. Always make sure things in the contract are followed. There are schools that will try to rip you off, and then in the long term, you're going to have to find a lawyer and sue them. It's happened to a handful of people I know. I've known a handful of people to get good settlements, because at the end of the day, contract and a working visa, everything is law. It needs to be followed. They cannot screw you over. They cannot, in the middle of your contract, turn around and say, okay, we're canceling this. We need you to sign this new contract to pay you less, or give you less hours, or any of this. If you're on a legal working visa contract, it needs to wait till the end of the contract's over before they can present you. Now, there might be a clause saying if you don't fulfill your duty, and if you truly are a garbage teacher, and they can pull evidence of that, like the kids aren't learning or anything of that, which they can try to fabricate. But if you are a good teacher and you're not, then they can't really pull those things on you. But I know contracts tend to be pretty vague to some extent. But get familiar with different contracts. What's a good contract? What's a bad contract? What should be in the contract or not? Read it over and only sign what feels good for you. But yeah. So we got that out of the way. I forgot. And yeah, holidays coming up. Going to be a great video. Anyways, till next time, guys. Cheers. I'm going to finish up this beer, and then I'm going to go back home. I hope this video was informative for you guys. Until next time, take it easy.